In 2007, underwater archaeologist Dr. Mark Hawley is on a mission in Lake Michigan's Grand Traverse Bay. He is using sonar to scan the lake bed, looking for a ship that sank years ago but has not been found yet. But as Dr. Hawley looks at the sonar readings, he sees something huge, something that is clearly not a shipwreck. So, Dr. Hawley puts on his scuba gear. He dives down to the bottom, and what he finds is very strange. It is a perfectly straight line of boulders, and it looks man-made. It is a long and almost scary formation in otherwise flat sand. So, he decides to follow the line and see where it leads. Eventually, it leads to another feature, which is a circle of stones, and there is a steep drop-off at the end of that circle. The circular stone pattern looks a lot like another famous rock structure. When you look at pictures, it almost looks like a small Stonehenge, but the rocks are only about 2 feet high. News of what is called Lake Michigan Stonehenge spreads around the world. The small Stonehenge might be 10,000 years old, which is 5,000 years older than Stonehenge in England. It is possible that these structures had some kind of religious or spiritual meaning, like many people believe about Stonehenge. Hawley, however, thinks the media is wrong because the main feature is not the stone circles, but the long line of stones. While Hawley keeps thinking about what this could be, another discovery in a different Great Lake gives new clues. In 2009, a University of Michigan anthropologist named John O'Shea publishes a paper about his research in Lake Huron. He discovers similar structures to the ones found in Lake Michigan. O'Shea believes these features are prehistoric hunting structures called drive lines. Drive lines were rock formations made by native caribou hunters in North America thousands of years ago. Caribou have a special trait. They naturally follow straight lines or structures. The hunters would guide the caribou toward the drive lines and lead them to the circular area. The hunters would hide behind the rocks there. The steep drop-off at the end helped guide the animals into a small area where hunters could catch them easily. Hawley is now confident that this structure is a drive line. But there is still a lot to learn about the site. There may be many more of these sites under the water waiting to be discovered. It is 2023, and a British company called Energean is scanning the seafloor in the Mediterranean Sea looking for oil and gas. The ship is 55 miles off the coast of Israel. They are using a robotic vehicle to search deep under the sea. The robot sends back pictures of the ocean floor, which look normal at first. But suddenly, engineers see something strange and interesting. They notice a large mound on the seafloor that seems to be full of smaller objects. Sticking out of the mound are shapes that look like jars about a couple of feet tall. They are stacked on top of each other and covered with sand. They call the Israeli Antiquities Authority to check the discovery. Experts look at the images and believe there are hundreds of jars, likely from a shipwreck. More study shows there is a ship under the cargo, about 40 feet long. They try to recover some of the jars to find out how old they are. The team sends down a special robot to carefully collect them. They bring up a few jars, and some material inside is still preserved. Researchers think the jars held oil, food, or wine. Tests are not clear, but they find out the jars are about 3,300 years old. This makes it the oldest shipwreck ever found in deep water. It shows that ancient sailors had better navigation skills than we thought. They were not using land to guide them. They likely used the sun and stars. The ship was sailing in the middle of the Mediterranean, which is very large and often rough. It is amazing to think that a ship from 3,000 years ago could survive such conditions. If the site is explored more, it could change what we know about ancient navigation. Yonaguni Island is the westernmost island of Japan, and scuba divers visit, because they can often see hammerhead sharks there. In 1986, A local diver named Kihachiro Aratake is diving near the coast when he sees something amazing. He is about 15 feet underwater when he finds a rock structure. When he looks closer, he sees it is part of a much larger formation going down to the seafloor. He follows it and cannot believe what he sees. There are many formations spread out. In front of him, the largest one is about 80 feet tall and as big as a football field. It looks like a stepped pyramid, similar to those built by ancient civilizations like the Maya and Aztec. Aratake tells a marine geologist named Masaki Kimura about it. When Kimura dives there, he is also amazed. The shapes look man-made, with straight lines and flat surfaces. Kimura calls it the Yonaguni Monument and believes it could be from a lost civilization. Some people compare it to mythical lost cities like Atlantis or Mu. This area has many earthquakes, so it is possible a city sank underwater. In 1771, an earthquake caused a huge tsunami near Yonaguni. Kimura thinks something similar may have created these ruins. Other scientists disagree and say the rock naturally forms these shapes. In 2024, a new theory suggests these structures were made by unknown non-human beings called crypto-terrestrials. Kimura does not agree with this idea. Until more proof is found, people will continue to guess about the mystery. Back in 1938, a fishing boat captain in South Africa shows his catch to a friend. What she finds shocks scientists. It is just before Christmas, and Marjorie Courtenay Latimer works at a small museum. She often checks fish catches for rare animals. As she looks through the fish, she sees something unusual. It is a 5-foot-long bright blue fish with fins that look like arms. Even the fisherman does not recognize it. Marjorie is confused, but wants to find out what it is. She tries to contact a fish expert, but he is away. The fish is starting to change color, so she wants to preserve it quickly. She calls a taxidermist to save it. 8 weeks later, the expert returns and is shocked. The fish is a coelacanth, a species thought to be extinct for 65 million years. Later, more of these fish are found. Scientists learn they swim in a unique way, using their fins like legs. Some believe they are related to the first animals that moved onto land. This discovery becomes one of the most important in zoology. Rediscovering an ancient species is amazing. But what if you found a real sea monster? In a small Danish village, people gather around a strange dead creature on the beach. It is huge, with a soft body, big eyes, a beak, and long arms with sharp hooks. People think it looks like the Kraken, a legendary sea monster. The Kraken was said to destroy ships and kill sailors. The villagers cut parts of the creature and bury the rest. Someone keeps its beak. 3 years later, the beak is given to a scientist named Japetus Steenstrup. He compares it to a squid and believes it belongs to a giant squid. At first, people are not sure. But in 1873, fishermen in Canada encounter a giant creature at sea. It attacks their boat, and they cut off part of its tentacle. Later, a full giant squid is found and studied. This proves that giant squids are real and may have inspired the Kraken legend.